So we talked about the challenges. What were some of your biggest learnings as you were a caregiver?
Yeah, so this is my favorite part to talk about. As you know, because you've had me for a class, and I think my students would attest to this, that I always have seen every opportunity as an opportunity for learning something. So luckily for me, that was the attitude that I entered into, not just my teaching, but my own life. And Henry also was like that. So he, a little bit about him is, he was much older than I was. He's African American. Our life experiences couldn't have been so different, just very, very different. But we had a deep, deep connection around our spirituality and our way of being in the world. And his mantra was actually just all about love and forgiveness. And so he taught me so much about that. And my mantra was just, learn from the experience that we're having now. So we sort of balance off of each other. So some of the things that I learned, one was the importance of patience and, just being patient with him and with myself. And it wasn't always easy. You've had an experience with people with dementia. So when he was able to walk and he had the cognitive challenges, that was very difficult because he'd walk out of the house, and he would do things that he normally wouldn't do, or he'd say things that he normally wouldn't do. So that was very hard, and at times we would argue. So I had to learn to just be more patient when these situations would come up. Also, I like to be in control, and it was impossible to be in control all the time. Just a sort of a funny example, our house is pretty clean and in order, but his short-term memory was gone, so he'd leave things everywhere. And I realized I had to let go of that. And then when we had caregivers, of course, then it was all up. And I had 3 that were amazing, and they stayed with me, and we're friends now. But they had their own ways of being in the space, and I just had to let go of that. There was some things that I just couldn't control, which was really, really good lesson for me. It's helped me now to learn to just let go of some things. They're not that important. It's just not that important. The other thing I learned was the need to let go of attachments and ego, and this was very hard because he and I were so close, and we talked every day. And if I was having a rough day, he would call and, give me support. And the story that helped me really get over the edge with this was when he was still mobile. We had a little argument in the morning, and later in the day, I called thinking, like usual, I'll call and we'll chat and we'll say we're sorry and we love each other. He picked up the phone and said hello, and the first thing out of his mouth was, "Where's the muffin?" He didn't even remember the argument. He just wanted the muffins. And as soon as I told him they're in the fridge, they're here, and the caregiver was here with him, but he went in the fridge, he goes, "Oh," and then he hung up the phone, and that was it. That was our conversation. And in that moment, I was so, initially disappointed and sad. I probably cried. But that was the moment where I realized I have to let go of this attachment to the way that it was, because it's never going to be the way that it was. And we now have a new normal, and I need to really step into this new way of being with him. Which brings me to the next one. I really believe we always get exactly what we need. So, those 3 lessons so far, patience, control, and letting go, it's exactly what I needed. I could never have learned those things by reading a book or doing my spiritual practices. I mean, these were teachings that I was getting that were so present, that I realized this was exactly the experience that I and we needed to have. And, of course, we hadn't planned for him. We had all kind of ideas about how he was going to die. This was not one of them. But this was exactly what we both needed. I learned to understand that. And then the final thing, among others, but the final thing I can sort of reflect on right now in terms of learning was gratitude and unconditional love. And the gratitude that I had for him, I mean, we had gratitude for each other when we were, when he wasn't sick, of course. And we were very expressive in our love for each other. But the unconditional love, letting go of the expectations, letting go of thinking that it had to be a certain way, and being present to the love that was still present for both of us. And the learning for this came after the 7 months or so in, after he had some seizures and then he was no longer mobile and didn't talk much. But I could still feel the love, and we still had this connection that was very deep. And I had a lot of gratitude for that. And I also had a great deal of gratitude and an unexpected love for all the people that helped. I learned how to ask for help. Friends, my family is not here. My family is in Ohio. And of course they were very supportive, but they couldn't be here to help. So my family became my friend. My friends became my family. And many came over and stayed with Henry when I couldn't. They brought food. They listened. It just was an outpouring of support that I just felt so grateful. Just a lot of gratitude, and something that was just not, just something that was so unexpected, that kind of outpouring. So just a lot of gratitude for the love and care that people showed and that Henry and I still had between us. Kind of a long answer, but thank you for asking.